Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the clarification. We now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Farenthold, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burson, in your testimony, you talked about the various watch lists that were coordinated and maintained as a result of 9/11. Can you talk a little bit about how someone gets on one of those watch lists?
Yes, sir. There is a formal process. There is only one consolidated terrorist watch list in the United States following 9/11. And the way in which that happens is there is an interagency process. Any agency can nominate, and there are standards that govern the movement of a name onto the terrorist screening database or the terrorist watch list.
So a wide variety of agencies. Does there have to be some level of proof that you're on there? Is that a list based on suspicion?
The standard followed for most all cases is reasonable suspicion. There are other placements on the TSDB based on a couple of other factors that are actually much smaller, but for various immigration or other reasons. But the reasonable standard is the standard.
But it's pretty easy to get somebody on the list. What about getting off the list? If for some reason, let's say I were put on the list, how easy would it be to get off?
So with regard to
and would I know?
With regard to a subset of the TSDB, which is the way in which people typically know that they are on the TSDB, is if they are not permitted to fly abroad or within the United States, and there is a redress process that people can apply to be removed, to ask to be removed.
And do you know how long that process typically takes?
It's an extended process, yes, sir.
We talking years or months?
It depends on the particular redress application.
And there are American citizens on this list?
Yes, sir.
Do you have an idea about how many American citizens?
The number of American citizens that are on the no-fly list or the selectee list are a very, very small fraction.
But there is a substantial number.
There is there are less than 0.1%, I'm told, with regard to the no-fly list.
All right. I guess my concern with this is there has been a lot of talk recently about using these watch lists for purposes other than they were intended. For instance, in determining whether or not Americans are able to exercise their rights under the Second Amendment. Do you think it's appropriate that these lists be used outside of what they were designed for?
I've not heard that, and I don't believe that it would be and I believe it would be apples and oranges.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Bond, I wanted to ask you a quick question about the folks that are interviewing folks who are coming into this country for a visa. That's done in your Consular Service Division, right?
Yes, that's right.
And that's kind of correct me if I'm wrong, is that not the entry-level job that almost everybody at the State Department has to start off and do a stint in the Consular Services section?
Almost every Foreign Service officer will serve in a consular tour in their first or second tour.
And how long typically would someone serve in that position?
2 years.
And how many folks that are screening folks that are coming into the United States have been there, for an extended period of time and have a high level of experience? To me, this you testified they're adequately trained, but it's everybody's first 2-year stint. I assume most people don't choose to stay there.
I did. The officers, as they arrive at post, if they are doing this as a first experience, a first consular tour, they are very carefully monitored during the first.
But how many stay? I'm running out of time, and I've got a question for Ms. Richards.
When we come into the Foreign Service, we come in a cone, political, economic, consular. Approximately, I think, 20% of the Foreign Service are consular code officers.
All right, thank you very much. And I wanted to ask Ms. Richards, when we're admitting refugees into the United States from folks like Syria or countries of concern, what level of coordination is there with the states? Do we talk to the governors or anybody within the states? I know the Governor Abbott in Texas is none too pleased about some folks that are being resettled in Texas.
Every governor, I think 49 of them, have a state refugee coordinator that is involved in making sure that the governor's office works with and talks to the local groups that are helping to resettle the refugees.
Right, but they have no authority to stop it or any formal process for expressing concerns. They're basically just informed. Is that not?
We insist that our local partners consult with local government officials, including the state refugee coordinator from the governor's office. So they should be consulted.
Can you give me a definition of what consulted means? I'm out of time, and if you'll just kind of give me an idea what that means.
You have to tell who's coming, how many, where they're going, all that information.
So it's basically just a one-way
Notification.
All right, thank you. The states don't really have a lot of opportunity. Thank you very much. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. We'll now recognize the gentlewoman from Illinois, Ms. Duckworth, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.